Welcome to episode 9 of Pitch Black Beacon. Last week, we were talking about the law of inspired action, which was kind of fun. I went back and listened to it, and I knew that I needed some motivation. And I remember Joshua saying during that episode, he's like, yeah, now I just feel motivated and inspired to go do something. So it was kind of fun to listen back to it because it reminded me, yep, even when we have those moments of not wanting to do it, getting up and doing it anyways and taking that action towards our greater purpose, and also trusting the process of what that comes and how that flows into our life. And so that kind of why we wanted to transition today into the law of attraction. We've talked about it before, we've touched on it, alluded to it, described it a little bit, but we felt like it was an episode worth devoting to in the first 10 episodes, which I'm excited. Next week's our 10th episode. Because the law of attraction, when I was first introduced to it, I just thought, oh, if I think of something, then it'll come into my reality, and it's that simple, right? And then I couldn't figure out why I wasn't manifesting $1 million in my life. I was like, I've thought about it a lot. How does this not happen? And it's interesting because when I discovered that the law of attraction actually has a lot to do with frequencies and vibrations and stuff, that was a huge different realm for me. I understood it. I got it. I was like, okay, there's things that vibrate. So basically everything has like an identification number for its frequency. And I started learning about this a lot in chiropractic because people will do things that's called like muscle testing, and they'll use things that maybe aren't the object itself, but they'll muscle test you for objects like that. And I didn't understand it. But when I started studying it, there's like these different devices that you can actually make where you take like a clear glass jar and you put a frequency into that clear glass jar, and say you put the frequency of like an apple. Okay, well, now the air inside that clear glass jar believes that it's vibrating at the frequency of an apple because that's the frequent current that you put into it. And so when you put that glass vial next to your body that's vibrating at the frequency of an apple, and you put an apple next to your body doesn't know the difference if it doesn't see it. Like it feels the sensation of the apple near it because of the frequency. And so I was starting to introduce this when I was in my studies and learning about stuff. And then when I got out of my studies, I started learning about, the universe and nature and everything. And we all talk about like, oh, grounding is so good. So into grounding. And I didn't really understand why, but then I learned about how the negative ions in the ground like pull the free radicals out of your body, and then they put a health healing frequency into your body too. And so being grounded with your feet or your skin on the ground outside nature is so healthy. And then Joshua, you started introducing me about like the frequency with trees and like all this kind of stuff. And then I started realizing, hey, we're just all things vibrating at different frequencies with basically kinetic and potential chains of energy happening all around us. And so when I got into the law of attraction and they're talking about frequencies and stuff, I was like, okay, I got this. I understand this logically. But the thing about book smart people, Josh, is that we may understand it, but we don't know how to apply it or actually what the fuck it means in real life. We just know how to talk about it. We just know how to talk about it. So then when I started learning about the law of attraction, and I was just like, okay, so why hasn't this happened in my life? Well, in order for you to manifest things, the words that people use around law of attraction is manifesting, right? Basically you're open to attracting these things into your life. And so we put the word manifest in there. Some people call it answered prayers. Some people call it, everybody's got different words with how they use it. But basically, I was learning that if you have like a low vibration to yourself, if you have a lot of like trauma, inflammation, negativity, all these things that we've talked about in the past, excuses, those are going to keep your energy at a lower frequency. The heavier your frequency, like you feel more fatigued, you feel tired, you feel sluggish, you feel all these things, and you have that kind of like lower frequency, anxiety, depression, they'll keep you at a lower frequency. All these things, you have to work through them to start rising your frequency. And we start doing that, things start happening, and they start happening a lot quicker. And kind of an example too is like, you can manifest like a chocolate bar into your life, like a Milky Way, and then maybe the next day or two, somebody is like, oh, hey, I have this extra Milky Way. Did you want it? You're like, oh my gosh, I did this. This happened. It worked. Well, the Milky Way's frequency, its vibration, is vibrating at a rate that is your frequency or lower. And so you were able to manifest it in your life. So if you want other things in your life, you want good, greater, best, you have to be willing to raise your frequency and do the inner work and to release stuff that's been weighing you down to actually be able to get those higher items. And you have to believe in yourself along the process and trust that this is going to work out the way that that it's intended. And the more you surrender to that process, the more you start like, okay, I'm going to let stuff go and start changing those things. Okay, well, instead of what if this happens in a bad way, start saying, well, what if this happens and it works, and giving yourself that permission to be like, what if I, didn't have this thing that creates anxiety in my life? Like, what if I tried to get that to not affect me today, just a little bit? What if that did work? And what if the next day it was a little bit better and the next day was a little bit better? And then you notice that that starts going away and the universe starts sending you tests to test your ability to resist that threshold of that stressor. Maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's, chocolate bars again. Maybe I need to have more chocolate in my life. But like, if you eat a chocolate bar every day and then you're like, oh no, now I can't have it. And resisting that, when you resist that, even though you want it, you're like rising your frequency, right? Because you're choosing something better for your body, your mind, your health, your family, your everything, and you're doing the thing to raise your frequency. And so when you raise that frequency, now you're like, oh, I want to manifest something a little bit bigger into my life. And you start attracting these things into your life, the answers, the solutions to this, because you're not distracting yourself with all this worrisome, heavy energy. And so when you get that higher vibration, higher frequency, you can actually start attracting the life that you want, the people in your life that you want, the lifestyle that you want, and the solutions to the problems that you want. But it also comes at being willing to let things go, to make space for that greater attraction, because you could stop at good or you can go for great, right? And a lot of us don't even stop at good. A lot of us are like, it's good enough. It's like, you're not even stopping at good. You're stopping at good enough. Like, come on, man.
A
And
lot of people
so
like to
a
a
lot
lot
of
of people
people,
like to be content.
well, because they're content and they're satisfied with their life, but for our listeners, we're looking for those type of people who are like, but what if it could be different? What if I wanted to change? What if I could have a life better than just being content? When you feel, and that's for everybody, but it's a choice. We all have that potential, but we also have the free will to decide stopping at good enough or going to great. And the best part is only you, the individual listening, gets to decide what that looks like for you. And what looks like great to one person might look like good enough for the other person, but that's not places for anybody to judge because it's not their life. Let people
Right.
people.
You can people any way you people because you are the creator of said power.
Hmm.
And yeah, no, that's perfect. I love that. Candy bar example. I never used that one before.
We've
It's
been
kind of
talking
neat.
about Milky Ways so much recently, and
I
now I
know.
go to the store and I'm like, where are the Milky Ways? I was like, damn it, I gotta raise my vibration because I'm going to the wrong stores.
And that's what it is too, like and it's not just like good stuff either that you have to worry about either. So like you were saying, negative heavy will attract more negative and heavy, and positive will attract more positive. And basically what that means is, like she was saying, like if you're telling yourself you can't do something, or it goes on to that level too, as far as like trying to make something happen. Instead of saying like I can't, which is a negative word, it's going to lower your vibration. You say I can, that one replacement will be like, hey, you just raised the bar a little bit, right? I
Hmm.
can make it. I am going to make it. Like you were saying, switch these
I
words, right?
feel like I am capable of this. Even if
Right.
you don't believe it, you
Huge
say it.
impact for what that does inside of you is like, so let's like if we broke it down, your mind thinks it, right? Your mind creates the idea, the vision that you want. This is the desire. Then from there, it has to send the signal to the heart, right? This is how, and the heart feels it. You have to be able to feel that desire. You want to be passionate about it and love it and nourish it and do it. Like for art or martial arts. For me, it's martial arts. My passion is martial arts. I love martial arts, and so my brain sends a signal to my heart that thinks about martial arts, and then it just feels so good. Now I have to do it, right? And then I speak it into the universe like I need martial arts in my life.
Hmm.
Well, then I'm presented. What's going to end up happening now is when I speak it into the universe and I say I need martial arts in my life, the vibration of your voice goes out into the universe like a bat's sonar. It's going to go out into the universe, reach where it needs to reach, whatever resonate on that same frequency, it's going to bounce off that frequency and send that back to you like a bat, and it's going to attract to you. Well, it's a little different than sonar, but it's same kind of thing.
It's a
Like
kind of, but
it's a
yeah.
magnetic pull of energy, right? Your energies are aligning. They're connecting and pulling together magnetically, and it's gonna.
And the more you believe it, and the thing is the more you take action on it
Well,
too.
the
Like last
more
week we
you
talked
listen to
about,
your intuition
right.
on, because your intuition is going to guide you to the opportunity that's going to present this thing that you want to happen. And the opportunity, and this is where the law of inspired action comes in. When you feel that intuitive thought and you're feeling and saying, hey, this seems like a good idea in my belly, and everything's legit, take the inspired action to do it, because what's on the next side of that door is probably what you were looking for. So it's about trusting yourself, listening to that inner voice, understanding what's going on when you think of manifestations, like, because it's not just asking for stuff either, it's affirmations.
Hmm.
The law of the universe's language, like the language of the universe, is affirmations. The more you repeat those affirmations with an affirm voice, that's why they call them affirmations. You're affirming them into the
Hmm.
universe. When you can do that and you push it more into practice, things are going to start turning around, not just inside of you. You're going to start feeling better, dressing better, looking better, doing things different. You're going to go to different places. You're going to start, naturally you're going to start changing if you're open to it. And so inspired action is very important along with this law of attraction. And manifesting is, it's like a big old yarn ball twirled up into one. You just.
It's so true though, that yarn ball. First off, I want to say that like I liked how you said, you know, the universe like bring it to the door, but like you have to do the inspired action to go and open the door because it's true. Like we can't just, I mean, sometimes we can sit there and have stuff come to us, but we can get there a lot quicker if we take the steps to the process. Otherwise, it might always feel like it's out of reach, right? Like we have to keep
For sure.
working towards that progress of what it is that we desire because the universe is not, it does not like laziness, you know? It's gonna
Well,
make you get up and do some
it's
stuff.
not that it's like it's not that it doesn't like laziness. It just doesn't know the difference between um it doesn't have morals. There's no morals in it. It's
Mm,
whatever you're sending it, right? It's
right?
the positive or it's the
Or the,
negative.
yeah,
That's all that's
it's
all
neutral.
it's neutral. It's a neutral energy. It doesn't have morals. It doesn't know under or understand your feelings. It understands the vibrations that
Hmm.
you're putting out. So, and that's what it's going to give you in return. So,
Hmm.
and the same, and when you're, so the law of attraction isn't think what I want and get what I think about.
Right.
The law of attraction is you get what you are
Hmm.
and who you are. Like you get
Hmm.
who you are as the return. Like if you're a nasty person inside, you're probably going to attract a lot of nasty stuff in your life. If you're a very kind, uh,
Honest person.
honest person, you're going to get more kind and honest things in your life.
Hmm.
And that's
Or
what it
more
is.
opportunities to continue to be honest and kind,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Because you don't, kind people, honest people, they don't always they don't always get the same things that they're given, but it's about, staying in that state no matter what, right? Like I'm always
Right.
going to be honest, I'm always going to be kind, I'm always going to be considerate about the people around me, and you might not always receive that, but that's where your vibration, your energy keeps, rising and you sleep better at night because you're like, you know what? I did it the best I could, as
Yeah.
best I could in the situation, and that's I can sleep at night. And or and I think it's interesting too, yeah, because if it we when you say you attract what you are, not what you want, that's to me where like that inspired action, that motivation to cut the laziness out and just get up and walk towards that door is because like, oh man, sometimes you think about the chaos and the distractions and the self-sabotage and all the things in life that we attract. And I remember you said that to me one time early on in our friendship, because I just had so much going on. I kept putting it out. and all over the place. And I was like, I have this going on and this going on and this and this and this. And you're like, yeah, but Carly, like you don't really have to do all those things. Like you have those things keep happening to you because secretly you want them. I was like, no, haven't you heard me complain about them for the last 15 minutes? And you're like, right, but even complaining about it is keeping them alive in your existence. Like you're not changing your mindset to attract better. And I was like,
Right.
so rude. But thank you. Thank you for telling me the truth.
But that's the
And
thing with people though, is so what happens is like they get
you
stuck
get stuck.
they get stuck on the negative because the negative is just as addictive as the positive. Because positive is super addictive. Once you
Right.
become an optimistic thinker, it's
Mhm.
addicting. You're like, oh, well, something good's gonna come out of it. Or, hey, my tire blew out, but what if I was 2 miles up the road and my car got hit by some other car or something, like
Right.
somebody said that to me once.
Oh, that was just actually, it was me recently. I was like, we stopped and pulled over for something really, really quick, even though I didn't want to. And then, like, a couple blocks up the road, there was a bumper. What is it
Yeah.
called? Why can't I think of it?
But the
The
point
car
is,
hit the
is
other car.
but the point is that car could have been you
Exactly.
had
And
you
that's what my
not.
mom said as soon as we
So
stopped over and saw it. She was like, that could have been us. That's why you had to stop over. And I said,
you
see,
know,
kids, even I have to listen to my mom at this age. There's some good that can come from it.
so not every bad thing that happens to you is a bad thing. It's just a necessary thing that one, you have to learn patience because it's always teaching you
Mhm.
patience. That's probably the biggest lesson you're ever going to learn in this universe is patience and gratitude. And
Mhm.
that's going to be key to understanding all of it is patience. Taking that step back and being like, oh, my lid is gonna blow, but I'm not gonna let it because I'm gonna be more optimistic. I'm
And
just
I
gonna
tell I
change
tell some
this
of my
around.
clients that too. I said, if you struggle with distress and you let yourself like have these big emotional moments, like just right before you can always feel it coming. We're like, I'm about to lose
Hmm.
it, and you're just like, just tell yourself like maybe I don't lose it this time. And then you have a delayed losing it. And then the next time you take a breath before you lose it. And then the next time you take a couple of breaths before you lose it. And now, before you know it, you've created breathwork coping skills to keep it from losing it. It just
That's
takes that
right.
one little thought to be like, and that's where I think that ball of yarn comes in too, because, no matter, good things being attracted to you, negative things being attracted to you. It's not. I like the idea of it being more neutral because you can have things happen to you that feel negative, but they're not supposed to happen to you. It's the universe testing you to see how you're going to react. Are you still in your lower energy vibration? Are you going to be, are you going to succumb to this temptation that could create distress and chaos in your life? Or are you going to be like, nah, that's not for me. I'm actually going to go to my higher purpose in life and keep moving forward. And that's where you have that fortitude and that courage to be like, you know what? I could give this my energy right now, this negative thing, but I'm actually going to try to find, not even finding a positive in it, but just keeping my vibration and my frequency high during this time and just stay calm,
Hmm.
and stay calm and let it flow and just look for those opportunities because, we go blind with stress and that
It's
fight
like
or
tunnel
flight.
vision.
Right. Yeah. When things happen and then we can't see things, we're like, how could you not see the solution? It's right there. And it's like, well, they weren't looking there. It's like my toddler going into the fridge. Where's the food? It's literally right in front of you. I don't see it anywhere. It's like, open your eyes, child. And we can get like that too with our life because we are so expecting of what it could look like, should look like.
Oh, for
And
sure.
and the thing is when you start unwinding that ball of yarn, you're going to find knots in there that are going to take you a while to untie. You're going to find other ones that look hard and they're going to unpull easily, and then before you know it, you're taking that whole twisted up ball of yarn and you got like a nice clean one for a kitten to go play with. And when you're doing that, you're just looking at your life and you see, oh my gosh, I've let so much of my energy go to these things that have been trapping me or keeping me stuck or creating unnecessary distress in my life. I didn't know that I had the option to want or do different. I didn't know that I could, breathe before I lost it. And a couple of times after that, I don't lose it anymore. Like I didn't know. We're conditioned to think that we're a victim to our circumstances and that also instant gratification is key. I blame this addiction to instant gratification like a lot with our emotions because, it's like, oh, well, I'm having feelings, so I need to have these feelings now, But if you like feelings are just feelings, and if you let them sit and you just like let them pass and flow through you, and just breathe. I reminded myself back in this, I think it was this last winter, I said, you know what? Any big emotions I have, I'm going to journal if I need to, and then I'm just not going to give it any energy for 24 hours. And if tomorrow I still feel as big about it today, then I'll sit down with it and try to see where's the solution, right? Is this still something I need to give this energy to? But I was surprised at how many times 24 hours later, the thing wasn't even a thing,
It was just, yeah,
And if
flows
I had
downriver.
given it that energy the day before, it would have imploded my whole life.
Right.
So many
I
times. And it's just knowing, like having that courage to not have that instant gratification with our feelings and be like, you know what? I'm going to sit in this temporary discomfort for a greater outcome and have that be okay and let myself have that discipline and just see what happens, because I bet
for
you're going to
sure.
start feeling a lot more positive feelings and not as many big explosive negative ones. And you're going to start attracting more things into your life. And now that you have like this discipline around your feelings, then you're going to know easier. It'll be like a litmus test to the things coming into your life. Okay, if I dump this in, does it turn blue? Do I dump this into purple? What color is it? And then I can sort it out from there, right? And if it's a hot ticket item, well, let's take care of it. And if it's a low ticket item, you just let it go, you know?
Let it go. Right. Yeah. Just let it go. Put it on a lily pad and send it downriver. I don't need you
Mm-hmm.
anymore. Goodbye.
Sorry, that was old Carly's problem. And you know what? I talk to myself in that way you've heard it before, where I was like, okay, old Carly wants to show up this way, but like new Carly's like, nah, girl, that ain't for us. And like I have to have these conversations with myself because it helps me, first off, give myself some self-validation of how far I've come because a lot of times we don't see our growth for what it is or that we've come a certain way at all. And so sometimes it's nice to have those moments where we remind ourselves like, hey, actually like a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, I would have reacted this way and I didn't do that this time. And I like that. I was like, okay, so if old Carly did this, what is new Carly doing? And then new Carly is going to be an old version of future Carly, so how do I keep growing on this? So 3 weeks from now, I look back at this moment and go, hey, look at how far we came, you know?
For sure. I think talking to yourself is the most important part,
Honestly.
because you're the soul and you have to talk to your body. It's like talking to a machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like like
Got to
yo,
check in with it daily.
are you oiled? Are you doing good? Let's check your fluids. Yeah, okay. All right, check your thoughts. All right, how you feeling? You know,
Mm-hmm.
always got to check in with yourself 100%. Because if you're not, then you're letting
Environment
you're
tell you how
letting
you're feeling.
right, you're letting your environment, you're letting other people, you're letting all these other things in your life stop you from your true goal, which
Mm-hmm.
is affirming what you want in your life if you want a better life.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I think
and it's
too,
about big change though too.
yeah.
It doesn't just and it's so one thing with this, one thing that I expected when I first started, I was like, okay, I can change my life but still live the same way that I'm living now.
How'd that work out for you?
Yep, exactly. Like it doesn't happen that way. So
Do tell.
once you start down that path and you're like, I'm going to change, I'm making the decision, I'm manifesting new stuff into my life, I'm going to learn how to do it, I'm going to sync my mind and my heart is one, send out the affirmations and practice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's how you get better at it. You practice it and you make it stronger, and then your vibration is higher. So now what's going to happen? Everything is going to happen.
Right?
You're gonna start looking into yourself. You're gonna start bringing up stuff from your past. You're gonna start picking away at yourself, and you're gonna start learning that all these things that are coming forward towards you
Mm-hmm.
are gonna have some correspondence with something in your life because you're
Mm-hmm.
at that changing point now. Your mind is on change, so it's unraveling that yarn, and it's gonna throw these different things at you, and you're gonna have to learn to stay calm, work past it very nicely without freaking out, without going into the old temperaments that caused the first time. And then once you can learn that, you'll be done. It'll move on to another test and you'll be leveled up. But once you start changing, you're gonna have to change everything. Is where I was going with it. Like people in your life, where you're living, uh the clothes you're wearing, the foods you're eating, the everything is going to change. Everything about you, your hygiene, the way you want to present yourself, the way you stand when you're going to want to improve yourself, and that's not a bad thing. And the only difficult part is everything that's going to come at you. So I would be prepared for that, be ready, but always stay calm, believe in yourself, and you'll come out on the other side a better person for it.
For reals, and only you get to decide how much time that takes. So when I hear you talk about this, it's interesting because it kind of reminds me of The Wizard of Oz a little bit, where the guy's like, "Oh, I want courage, and I want this, and I want that, and if I only had a brain, right?" And then they don't actually like they have that in them the whole time, right? But they think, "Oh, I must not have one because of the certain identity that I carry around." Right. And then over time, the whole movie is about them going through situations in which they are showing themselves that they did actually have that potential or that courage or the smarts or the whatever the whole time. And then at the end, they had somebody validate it or affirm it. And then they felt like, oh, well, they helped me see that in myself. Like that's all the Wizard of Oz did is he didn't give it to them. He just helped them see it within themselves and then give them a certificate to validate it, right?
Right.
And so taking that movie, humans are a lot like this too. We get stuck on these identities or these excuses or these things that keep us in that stagnant state that keep us from attracting that greater good or recognizing that hey, we're already doing it. Like you already are doing the thing that you want in your life. You just are doing it at such a small scale that you don't recognize it. But take that,
Right.
nurture that instead of all the other worries you have in life and see what happens. If you take the energy from all the worries, all the heaviness, and you put it over here, and before you know it, like going back to that ball of yarn, you're taking all these worries, all these cares, and you're just letting them free. You're unknotting them, and you're able to just keep rolling in life.
And here's another thing too is like if you can't find something to relate to or you can't find like I resonate really good with I really like Earl Nightingale, Alan Watts,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Rohn, some of my favorites, right? Some of these guys are very influential in my life. There's tons of other ones, but like Earl Nightingale stands out just because of his message
Mm-hmm.
and Alan Watts has a different message and Jim Ronan has his own message, right? But
Mm-hmm.
they're all essentially saying the same thing.
The concepts are the same, but how they go about it are different.
It's the perception that they have
Mm-hmm.
that's a little different and the way they get there,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all essentially the same thing. And sometimes even like for myself, I was like that cowardly lion. I was the cowardly lion looking for my heart. I didn't have the courage to go do certain things. And it took the Man of War crucible to really just hammer that into me. And really what that did was they presented me with the opportunity to do that same exact thing as they presented me the opportunity to find the courage within myself to push forward through the program, and it wasn't because of them, it was because of myself. So they gave me my courage back by showing me that it was there the whole time. I
Mm-hmm.
just didn't see it for myself. And that's everything. That was everything. That changed everything inside of me. Like, now everything is different. So it's there. It's inside of you. It will be, and sometimes you just need that little extra push if you can't find something that you're looking for. You just need that little extra push to help you believe yourself, and a lot of that comes with, you know, starting the physical stuff, starting and then start the mental stuff, or
Mm-hmm.
start the mental stuff first and then start the physical stuff. But it has to be a balance, and you have to be able to do all of it at once. I think it's
I think you have to
important.
start with one thing, but you have to implement all of them
You have to, yeah, that's what I was trying to
shortly
get
into
at.
the
Like,
starting point. And I think hearing you talk about your Man of War Crucible experience too, it's interesting because what I heard when you said that was like, oh, okay, so he had an attachment to some reason why he couldn't, right?
Right,
And then
exactly.
this cut your attachment to that and helped you reveal, oh, hey, when you cut that cord, poof, courage shows up, right?
Right.
And I think so many of us, I think that's such a good key because we've talked about I think in episode 3, it was the fear and love spectrum. And love is universal in the world, right? And it's supposed to flow through us. It's not supposed to stop and nestle in because then it creates like insecurities and all these things that are twisted versions of love, right? Because it's supposed to be flowing, and if it gets stagnant, it creates
If it's forced, if you force it.
right, force it or have all these other attachments around love or whatever, it's going to weigh it down, and it's going to be like, oh, I want love but I can never be accepted, or I want love but I'm never told this, or I want love, and then it's like, okay, but you have all these negative things around love that are holding you back from it. And so that love spectrum, where courage is found and all these things that we need to be able to raise our vibration in life, is we have these attachments to them. And so it's like, okay, so if I want courage, what's the opposite of that, and then looking into that and being like, oh, well, the opposite of courage is this. Okay, well, now where am I doing this in my life? What's the thing that's attached to that limiting belief that I can sever to be able to move forward and to take courage? Is something I just have to do mentally, physically? How am I going to build this muscle over time to release this cord? And at what point? And this just happened to me too recently with a huge core wound that I had and a bunch of limiting beliefs around it that was having me have a very unhealthy attachment to pretty much everything in my life that I was still struggling with having a better mindset about. And I said, what is the one thing keeping me away from this? And then when I realized it, I had such a weird sensation this last weekend where it's just everything was free and free flowing, and there was no concerns, there was no worries, and I was just able to like feel liberated. And it felt weird to feel so detached from this thing that was holding me down for so long, because then I sat down with myself and I was like, who am I without this attachment? And you get this opportunity to rediscover yourself. You're like, okay, so now that this attachment to this heavy thing is gone, who am I now that I'm letting this part of the love spectrum flow through me? How do I work in that side of the love spectrum? Do I act different? Do I present myself differently? Do I talk different? Or do I just do more of what I'm already doing? And getting that chance to rediscover yourself in these, now that this attachments are gone, is so key, because it makes space for those greater attraction things to come into your life and to come through you and to be resonated off of you and come back and be brought back to you. And it's such a beautiful process. And so when you were talking about the Man of War thing, I was like, oh man, it's such a visual of like literally like cutting this cord, proving to yourself you had the courage the whole time and moving forward, and then continuing to create more opportunities in your life. I've seen it where you have the chance to build that muscle of courage,
For sure.
and to take those chances and to put those risks out there and to be like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyways because I have courage now. And that's a big part of why we started doing our podcast when we did too, because it was the right timing, and we were in the right side of the love spectrum in the universe and being like, all right, this is divine timing, let's get this started, let's start impacting lives. And we don't know where it's going to go, but we're going to trust that process, we're going to build that muscle every day. And it's been fun to be able to develop this company with you.
And we love all of you out there as well.
And we can believe every one of you has potential to do what it is that you really want. And I think for me, the biggest roadblock in overcoming, like the biggest tool I used in overcoming this roadblock of hiring my vibration and moving in towards things I wanted in life, was being honest with myself, and not just, and then gauging that level of honesty. Okay, so I want this in my life. How much am I willing to do it? 30%? Okay, so 30%, you must not really want it, right? And it's just like, but I really, really want it. It's like, okay, so you really, really want it, but you're only willing to commit to it 30%. So you must not really want it, right? And then
Right.
all these excuses around it. So then I had to start asking myself, okay, if I'm really honest with myself, this is what I want. And then I would feel how I felt, like doing a body scan when you say that, to see, okay, does part of your body stop for a second? Do you have an ache? Do you have a pain? Do you have like a gunky feeling around you, like what is that? And then it's like, okay, and if I felt that in my body, like, oh nope, I just feel like that's the right answer because I'm conditioned to think that that's what I should be saying right now, right? And so then I would take that answer and I say, okay, no, if I'm really being honest with myself, and then I would dig deeper and deeper, and it's like, okay, if I'm really honest with myself, this is what I would want, this is what it would look like. Okay, now I said the thing, and then that would be out there in the universe. And the scariest thing, I talked about this last time, the scariest thing for me was, accepting the fact that I wanted to build this company and to start making this kind of an impact in the world. I had to let go of everything I've done and known up until now to change gears and to do something totally different. And it felt intimidating because I was like, wow, I can't just let go of 12, 15 years of stuff. But then that greater attraction that I want in life, that life that I want, I could just feel it. I could feel like, okay, if I stayed on this path though, those goals, those things that I want in life, they're going to stop at a certain point because this path that you're choosing that's not aligned with you has a certain threshold and will cap off and you'll be content, but you will not thrive the way that you want to thrive. You'll be happy, you'll be cared for, whatever, but you're always going to have that like burning desire for something more. And so then I was like, okay, so are you willing to surrender this cap that you can go down this path and have this content life? Or are you willing to take the risk to go over here to do what's really going to bring you joy, to be paid to be you, to love the things you do, and to have abundance on the level that you want it to be over here? I'm like, well, shit, that answer looks a lot better than this one. But, I had to be really, really honest with myself. What do I want? What does it look like? Am I being 100% honest? And am I willing to take the steps to let that go, to start living a joy-filled life now? And doing the work that makes you wake up to want to do it every day? And the answer was yes. And that was uncomfortable, but the level of attraction, the things that started coming into my life to make that reality happen was tenfold. I couldn't even keep up because I was closing stuff off over here, I was building stuff over here, and I felt like I was in this big state of transition. And I was just like, man. But then I kept thinking to myself, you know like with visual boards and stuff, like I'll go on Pinterest and I'll pick out different houses or, different sceneries or different vacation spots or different, even just like a different style of clothing that I might want, something low budget, just, easy that I want for me. It doesn't have to be like $1 million mansion, it could be like a new $50 skirt or something. And I would put that picture on the background of my phone because then I would remind myself this discomfort that is actually joyful discomfort because I'm working in the direction of where I want to be. I had to keep reminding myself, but this is the goal. This is the goal. Remember, don't take your eyes off the goal. Stay present, but just know that you're not going to know what the next step looks like because you've never done this before, and that's okay. So you just keep putting one step in front of the other. You're not in a space where you skip steps now because you've done that before. Now you don't know what the steps are to even step. So all you have to do is put one step in front of the other, trust process. And eventually that gap between you and the door is going to get closed closer and closer and closer. And then you're going to open the door and be like, boom. But the thing is like, I might think I'm walking towards the store that I have to open to have this great abundance. But the thing is, I already opened the door the first time I made the decision, to change. Now I just walk through the door and start living that life. And there'll be more doors
Yeah,
along the way, but that first door, though, it's already walked through it the moment you made that first decision.
that's the hardest one to go through.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
rest
and
is just learning
and
lessons.
affirming yourself in that process of like, hey, it's okay to give yourself permission to be happy, to do the things that you desire, to have these
Yeah,
differences in
don't
life,
don't
to
let
raise your vibration and
yeah,
attract greater good. You
yeah,
are
you deserve
capable of
it.
that. Right. But we're so told so often, no, we are undeserving of everything,
Yeah,
and
don't let that conditioning stuff get into your head. Like they
exactly.
condition you daily on your television and your radios and all and your phones to have these high expectations of
And
all
it's got to
this
be a
glorious
struggle,
stuff,
you
all
know?
the ads, all the things that they
Mhm.
throw in your face. Don't let that stuff fool you. That's all just and
If
yes,
you
a lot
work
of this
hard enough,
stuff
you could
like
get this too. But
right
what if I could
and
do that
yes,
without working hard?
well, it's not just that, but like a lot of that stuff is just materialistic. And yes, a lot of the stuff we're talking about is materialistic too, like being, wealthy and all that too. But you have to remember too that you're
But the
not going
goal
to
isn't the
get the
wealth.
materials until you're you're not going to get the physical until you do the mental is what I'm
Hmm.
trying to say. So like you have to take care of the spirit first. Take care of your spirit first and then bring
Hmm.
it into the physical because essentially you're going from your spirit is your spirit's in 6D reality or 5D or something, say, and now you have to cross down into the 3D. So your spirit comes down, goes into a soul, which then the soul goes into the body, right? So it's kind
Mhm.
of like vessels. It's trading
Mhm.
down,
It's a
and then
funnel.
right, it's a funnel going into a vessel, and now you're here, and what they do and what humans have done because they've been doing it for so many years is they know how to manipulate the minds of the of other humans. Like they know
Hmm.
on a big masses, like
Hmm.
masses, kings, queens. Look at history.
Hmm.
Any dictator, all these people knew how to uh trick the mind and control the mind, keep you in a
Hmm.
state of fear. It keeps you in these states, right? And it traps you, and it gives you this scenario, this is bad stuff. They throw these bad things at you all the time to keep you in a bad state of mind. But really, if you
Well, it's kind
just
of
take a
like
step back,
the
it's
kings
beautiful.
and the land. What are the people who used to own the land and the peasants? And it's like you're all broke and
Right.
you have no money. And it's like, oh, I thought I was doing fine, but now my person is telling me I have no money and I should have more money to pay more taxes.
Right.
The only reason I need more money is to pay more taxes that they want because they have no money. Wait, they're actually projecting.
Right.
And
So
yeah, but
don't
it's
let,
true though.
you got to get away from that. Once you start getting away from that and realizing, turn the TV off, put your phone down, uh, just go outside and sit in nature. Once you
Have an
figure that out
experience.
again, have an
Yeah.
experience, go on a vacation. Like that's so important for humans is to vacation. It's very important for your soul to go because you're a creature um of Earth. So you migrate. Humans migrate, people migrate, animals migrate. It's a calling for your soul just to go out and have these experiences and do stuff. I've been all over the United States. I've done and seen things everywhere. I mean, I got a lot of places left to go, but I've been to a lot of places, and it is a beautiful, beautiful experience a lot of time, most of the time. There are some weird stuff. There's always weird stuff that happens out there, but that's where
But it's part of the adventure. I mean,
it's part of the
even just
adventure.
this last weekend, we went out with some friends and found some waterfalls at a park that we didn't
Oh, it
even
was
know was in our
wonderful.
backyard. It's
Yeah, it
like
was
this is
beautiful.
30 minutes away from where we live. Who knew?
Right.
And now that I know it exists, I'm like, well, shit, what else is out there I didn't know was right in my backyard? You don't have to go anywhere fancy. You could just take a
It
day
doesn't
trip
have to be
or,
far away.
something, just appreciating
Right.
what's around you, you know?
And it was a peaceful, you know what? You feel tranquil, you sit in a river,
Mhm.
you just let the stream flow over you, and I'll tell you what, it's peaceful. It's relaxing. It brings you back down
My
to
hair has never been
earthing.
softer. River water.
My
Who knew?
skin, right? Skin, everything. It's beautiful. So I
Yeah.
would I would say take adventures, and that's
And
very important.
we were both desiring like a getaway in some way for our own individual purposes. And then this whole situation, the universe just plopped this great experience into our life, this opportunity to get away, have some fellowship with some other friends, and do
And we
this
took
great
inspired
adventure.
action to do it.
And took inspired action. And it was just like, and I'm still sitting here. I was talking to somebody that we were with today, and I was just like, I just can't believe how much all of these multiple moving pieces had to fall into place for this to all work out the way that it did. And it just gave me an even greater appreciation to be present in the moment, knowing that this was not like oh, we could do this every weekend. It's like, no, this happened to work out great this one weekend. And having that law of attraction that came in was so great to be able to have. Like, for me, it was so validating about like that I'm going in the places that I need to be going, because this very peaceful experience was happened into my life. And it's like, okay, well, obviously the direction I'm going is attracting peace and tranquility and more nature and making it easier to have that opportunity happen in my life. And so I was like, well, this is wonderful. I should keep moving in this direction and have this be a good thing. And that was lovely to be able to have that, that gift of validation or affirmation from the universe and from God to be like, you're going the right direction. Because sometimes we don't know, oh, I
One,
want a big sign. And then you go outside and you have this great experience. You're like, but I'm still looking for the sign, but it's like, no,
right,
if you're present in the moment, you can appreciate it. The sign that's right in front of you that you're experiencing and be like, yes, you are moving in the right direction. You are doing the things you're supposed to be doing. This is in your path, and this is a good thing. And that is beautiful, beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss, you know?
right, right. And I just want to reiterate too again, like even though we talk about like the money and stuff and things like that in nature, we want nature. It's the feeling of already being in nature that makes
Mm-hmm.
the nature come. Like
Mm-hmm.
like you can't really I want money. You can't make a feeling of money. You have to already feel like you're wealthy. You're
What
already
is it that money
feeling
brings that you
right, the
desire?
freedom. So like the money will bring you freedom, right? So you
Mm-hmm.
have to feel free. Feel freedom inside of yourself and then associate that freedom with the tool that got you there. The tool that got you there is the money. So associate your freedom with the tool and that's what comes back at you. So I just want to kind of throw that out there too. I don't know if that's confusing or not, but
No,
it's
I really liked that because it's true. Like, it's weird to think, okay, so say I want this specific house, right? Okay, and I want this garden, I want this atrium, and I want this specific thing around the house. Close your
right.
eyes and think of like, okay, if that has for an excessive example that people can relate to, it's like, okay, that has marble flooring in the courtyard, not concrete. Okay. Close your eyes, think to yourself, what happens when I've stepped on marble before? I think banks used to be made of marble. So we all know what that feels like, right? And it's like, okay, now I'm
How
thinking
does
about
that feel on your
stepping on
toes?
marbles. And now it's like, okay, now I'm closing my eyes and I'm sitting down, in my chair, having my coffee. The breeze is going through, the birds are chirping, and all this stuff. And I feel that marble on my feet, and it's a sensation I'm used to, and then you open your eyes and you're like, okay, now I'm inspired to go make that a reality because my body already feels like it's in existence. And it's weird to me that I'm not home with my feet on my marble floor, I mean, who knows if I have
Exactly.
marble in life, but just for an example, you know, and
And the
and
more you practice that, the more that's going to become a good feeling, and the more you're going to get
right.
inspired, and the more action you're going to start taking, and then it's going to really
Mhm.
become reality.
And before
So,
you know it, you might find yourself at a friend of a friend's house who has marble flooring. Be like, no shit, you've got marble
yep.
flooring? Who knew?
And
And it's like, oh yeah, it was put in this house, whatever. But what a lucky buy. We got it from this person who knew somebody. And it's like, cool. And then that person, now it's in your reality. You're like, well, it's not mine, it's me adjacent. But then,
but
the
that's the
next step is
vibration.
me,
You've attracted that vibration. Now you have a real life vibration to go off of like, hey,
Hmm.
this is going to make it stronger because now I have the
Right.
experience, and now it's like an RPG. I always say it's like an RPG game, where each experience you gain, you
What's
level
an
up.
RPG?
It's a role-playing game,
Oh, okay.
video game. I know you're not into the video game world.
Like Halo
Um,
or something like that.
no, no, not like Halo.
Okay, I
Like
don't
more
know.
like Final Fantasy type games
Yeah.
and you
You
know,
lost me at role playing, but continue.
right. Yeah, exactly. So, but with each experience you have, you level up and you go from level 100 to 101 and
Mm,
so leveling up. That's what you got to
yeah.
do.
Got to just keep leveling up. And the nice thing is
That's the
the
experience.
perfectionist side of me is like, oh, but what level do I have to obtain, and how do I get there the quickest?
It's
And it's
infinite.
like, and that's the thing. It's just like take your time, do one level at a time, and just be patient. Be patient with yourself in the process
And
because the more you slow
be
down,
thankful.
stay calm, practice gratitude, do breath work, take care of yourself. Like there's. I think one of the things I can consistently see with people who are successful in life is that they don't sacrifice their sleep or their nutrition or their quality, like the quality time in life for what matters. Or maybe they had to at some point, but their sleep and their nutrition, they don't ding on. They make sure
Right.
they get their right amount of sleep, make sure they get
The
for
proper
them and the
foods.
proper foods to be able to nurture themselves, to be able to get out there and do the things that they're needing in life. And so for me, like one call of action that I would provide for listeners in taking inspired action or in taking the law of attraction is start the law of attraction with just like a little bit of self-care. Like, okay, if you want to be this type of person, that you're envisioning in your future life, what's one thing that you can start implementing right now to start making that a reality? Maybe you don't have like a good skincare routine. Maybe you don't get good sleep. Maybe you don't work out. Maybe all these things. You pick one thing that's like a tangible thing that you can say, hey, when I do this, I'm going to start acting this way. I'm going to start dressing this way. I'm going to start doing this. Okay, well, go get one of those pieces of clothing or, getting your eyelashes did or something. I don't know. Like, whatever it is that's like, I'm going to identify like this in my new state of being and start doing that now. Maybe you're somebody who wakes up and has a chai tea latte every day because you love it. And it's like, all right, well, why wait till you're fancy? Do it now, you know? Like, give yourself the permission to start living the little bits of those lives that you can bring in now. Because when you do that, you're going to feel good. You're going to build self-esteem. You're going to build self-trust. You're going to start noticing more opportunities to build into that self-care that are going to be attractive to the new state of being that you're wanting. And it's just going to keep growing from there. Self-care is probably the best foundation to start on if you have no idea where to start in your state of attraction towards the universe. For me, that was my first step back years ago when I've talked about like, struggling with severe acne, being toxic, being inflamed. I just looked at myself in the mirror and I said, I am beautiful. The skin is serving me the best it can. I'm attracting things into my life that will help me with healing this stage of my life. And sure enough, it wasn't just supplements, it wasn't just diet changes, it was everything that I had to uphaul for that one little wish, that one little desire to change how my skin appeared, right? I had to change who I was with, where I was with, where, all the things. I changed every aspect of my life pretty much. And did I know that saying, hey, skin, I want you to be better, that was going to change everything in my life? No, but it revealed to me all the stress, all the toxic traits in my life that were adding to this being the symptom. And I was like, ooh, that's crazy. So let's fix the core and then the symptoms will go away. Sure enough, it did, and then I was like, okay, so now I want skin, now I want toned muscles. Okay, what do I have to do to get toned muscles? And just start doing that, because I guarantee you when you start doing a little bit of something for self-care, you're going to learn so much about yourself. And when you do, I just want you to sit there and gauge how honest are you really being with yourself, and really dig deep to be like, okay, if I'm really honest, this is the type of workout I really want to do. If I'm really honest, this is the type of, skin I want. If I'm really honest, and then just start taking the steps to make that happen. You can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. Let's be real.
100%. I love it.
So what
Yeah.
what what would be a takeaway that you would have, a call to action or a helpful affirmation for people?
I think I would say my call of action for everybody out there would be to learn about yourself, and dig deep into your courage and learn not just about yourself, but learn how the body actually works too. Like get educated on the body
Mm-hmm.
and and learn how it works. Also learn to take control of that power, because you have to realize how powerful you really are to make this like really believable in yourself, to make yourself believe. You need to know how powerful you are. And one thing that you can do to feel that power is learn about who you are as a human, learn what the body is about, how it works, but also learn that you're not just a human. You're the spiritual being in a human body, and believe
Mm-hmm.
that, because you are. And it's you need to learn to take control of that thought pattern. And once you can think that way and you realize like, oh yeah, I'm I'm the soul which controls the body. That's how you make everything work. That's
Mm-hmm.
how it all comes together. And really you can start taking control of your power and making it happen, because that's when you'll be able to control your thoughts more. And
Mm-hmm.
that's essentially what your end game is: control your thoughts of and how you feel, because your thoughts provide how you feel.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I always take, like if you want to feel wealthy, you have to feel wealthy. You know, if you want to be wealthy, you have to feel wealthy. If you want to be courageous, you have to feel courageous. You know, you can't, a fearful person will never feel courage until he learns to overcome the fear and
Hmm.
push into courage. So, you know, push past that fear.
I like that because that just kind of makes it seem like everything's a bridge, right? You have fear on one side, courage on the other. You just got to cross the bridge. How you choose to cross that bridge, what obstacles you decide to put on that bridge, how rickety you want to make that bridge in your brain, that's on you. It could
Hmm.
be a sturdy bridge. It could be the scariest bridge of your life, but you can cross it and you can get to the other side and you can change what that bridge looks like, and maybe you don't cross the bridge day one, but you can work up to
Yeah,
building that bridge to be sturdier as you walk across it. And what I heard too when you were talking just there was that, you know, God tells us like ask and you shall receive, and talking about doors earlier too is just like, ask for the door to be open and it shall be opened unto you. And so many of us forget that we can ask for these things in our life and to give ourselves permission to have that ask be received, you know, like, and have that be okay, right?
it is okay.
And and to have that be okay. It is okay. And that was one thing I had to learn. It's okay for you to be happy. And there's some listener right now that's gonna burst into tears hearing that. It is okay for you to be happy, and it's okay for you to have the joy and peace-filled life that happiness gets to be a symptom of, you know?
And it's okay for you to take the power back inside you. Anytime somebody else's emotions get to you, they have control over you. Don't let it happen.
Mm-hmm.
You are in control of you. You have the power to make this happen. Every single thing you do in your life has already been because you've made that choice. You've already used the law of attraction because you are where you are today. Now
Mm-hmm.
you just have to point it in a different direction and learn to redirect it. That's one thing that I had to realize when I first realized when it first clicked, and I was like, "Holy balls, this is amazing! What what just happened? Did I just get this download?" And it was like right in my face, smack, and I was like, "Yeah, okay, all right." So nobody else can have power over me ever again because I choose not to, and you gotta make that happen. Don't let people take control over you. Anytime you let something get inside of you, it has power over you, and you're stronger than that. You don't need to
Mm-hmm.
be. You don't need to be letting that stuff get you.
It's interesting because when I had that aha moment, it's because I was allowing people into my life. Part of me was still wanting people to be managing me, right? I didn't want to make my own decisions. I didn't want to take accountability for where I was at in life. I didn't want to take responsibility. I wanted life to be hard and I wanted people to help me make decisions. And I used to survey people and ask everybody their opinion, create all this anxiety, and then pick the most popular opinion based on the best explanations given, right? And then I would do that, and then either did or didn't work out for me. And the more that I realized it because there was a situation where I was like, holy shit, I think this person is trying to manage my life. I don't like it. And I had to walk away from that situation. And when I realized that, it's because I realized I am actually capable of managing my own life. And at first it felt like a loss. It felt like a big loss because I was like, oh man, this person's not managing my life anymore. Now I have to make my own decisions. And it felt so uncomfortable. And even today, I had a conversation with somebody and I looked at them. I said, you know what the worst thing that people keep telling me, like such a dick move that people keep saying to me, is like, well, it's your choice. You got to do what's best for you. And it's like, I hate that. I hate that so much. I love it because it's true and nobody's making decisions for me anymore because I decided to take control of my life. And now when I go to survey people, they don't tell me shit. They just say, well, you got to make your own decision, whatever is best for you. And I'm like, I mean, I'm so glad that the universe has got my back and not allowing temptations to people please based on other people's opinions anymore. But could I get a sign? And part of that sign is just you already know the answer. You already know how to trust yourself. You already know what you need to do next. You just are afraid for some reason. And asking yourself, okay, if I'm being 100% honest, why am I afraid of this? All right, well, what if I let that go? And what happens if this does end up being the way I think it will go? We'll find out. And that's the other thing too, is stop controlling the results and just being like, all right, we'll see. I did the thing.
Acceptance.
I
Just gotta
stepped,
accept it.
yep, I put one foot in front of the other and we'll see where this bridge takes me. And that's all you can do. So yeah, great episode. But until next time, and let us know if this was helpful. Find us on Spotify. We have a Facebook page now, Pitch Black Beacon, and feel free to like it. Invite your friends to like it. Share this podcast with somebody who might be helpful. We've been having a lot of people share our podcast after they started listening to it with other people in their life. We'd love to see our audience grow. Don't forget to hit the follow button on the Spotify button, so you can get updates about new episodes and new things that are happening for you. So until next time, have a wonderful week in attracting your reality.
Make it happen.
Make it happen.